Introduction: Understanding nighttime disruption and natural sleep rhythms. Before retiring for the evening, there is a specific daily pattern that wellness professionals frequently suggest evaluating with extra care. When individuals experience a pattern of waking multiple times during the night to clear fluids, it is an experience shared by many within the community. While many older adults often assume that frequent nighttime waking is simply an inevitable aspect of a maturing system, disrupted rest affects far more than baseline energy levels the following day. Repeated interruptions to the natural sleep cycle can place additional, quiet demands on the body's internal equilibrium. Studies suggest that consistent rest plays a foundational role in supporting long-term neurological health, daytime vitality, and overall systemic well-being. In fact, clinical observations indicate that older adults who regularly experience multiple nighttime disruptions may observe a notable correlation with overall cardiovascular equilibrium compared to those who enjoy uninterrupted rest. Long-term research, including a notable decade-long tracking study from Seoul National University Hospital, suggests that frequent nighttime fluid clearance represents a meaningful wellness indicator, rather than a simple, daily inconvenience. It is a widespread pattern that touches the lives of millions of older adults, deserving thoughtful and proactive attention. A critical dimension that health researchers emphasize is that many individuals naturally focus on addressing the immediate physical occurrence itself. In doing so, it is easy to overlook how certain subconscious evening habits and dietary choices might actually be interacting with the body's natural nighttime rhythm. This exploration highlights several common evening patterns that many older adults inadvertently maintain right before turning in for the night. More importantly, it brings to light simple, sustainable daily adjustments designed to foster a more peaceful, continuous rest and support vibrant daytime wellness. For those navigating frequent nighttime disruptions, exploring these patterns until the end of this discussion remains highly valuable. The practical insights uncovered today offer a meaningful foundation for enhancing the quality of nightly rest and nurturing long-term vitality. Chapter 1: The Foundational Mechanics of Nighttime Fluid Equilibrium. A deeply reassuring truth that many may find surprising is that frequent nighttime waking is not an inevitable, permanent tax on a maturing system. Furthermore, these disruptions often do not occur for the conventional reasons that many widely believe. In fact, a subtle evening habit that frequently evades daily attention can inadvertently interact with the body's natural nocturnal rhythms. This exploration highlights the underlying mechanics of that specific habit, alongside gentle, sustainable lifestyle refinements designed to encourage a more peaceful rest. Clinical observations across many decades indicate that the challenges of aging do not require passive acceptance without thoughtful evaluation. For a vast majority of older adults, modest, supportive refinements to the daily routine can foster a beautiful and meaningful difference in nightly comfort. Achieving a more restful evening does not depend on complex clinical treatments or costly pharmaceutical interventions. Instead, the foundation for sustainable vitality often begins with traditional habits and everyday whole foods readily accessible in the domestic kitchen. Over time, numerous individuals have successfully encouraged the return of steady, continuous rest that they previously assumed was a natural part of the past. This collective exploration aims to examine the vital dimensions surrounding late-day physical equilibrium. The analysis gracefully addresses the primary reasons why nighttime fluid clearance shifts with age, the subtle factors that increase natural reservoir sensitivity, and the cumulative impact that repeated sleep interruptions can place on physical well-being. It also gently dispels widespread misconceptions, while highlighting practical ways to support the body's transition into deep rest. Special attention is dedicated to traditional, calming foods that naturally support evening relaxation, alongside clear, actionable guidelines that can be integrated into the home routine. Exploring these collective insights until the conclusion provides a profound understanding of the inner rhythms of the maturing body, and more importantly, the gentle measures available to support it. The inquiry naturally begins with a fundamental question: Why do so many older adults experience the pattern of waking multiple times during the night to clear fluids? Chapter 2. The subtle shifts in nocturnal timing and system sensitivity. Why do so many individuals over the age of 60 experience a regular pattern of making frequent trips to clear fluids during the night? The most common assumption is that the natural fluid reservoir has simply lost its baseline strength, or can no longer accommodate the same volume as in earlier years. It is a frequent subject of conversation within community circles, often characterized as an inevitable, expected tax on a maturing system. While these shared experiences are undoubtedly widespread, the underlying biological explanation involves a slightly more sophisticated network. Clinical research across several decades indicates that the physical structure of the natural reservoir itself is rarely the primary source of the disruption. One of the most profound physiological changes actually centers on the body's natural chemical messengers. The human system relies on a vital nocturnal messenger hormone designed specifically to regulate fluid balance during hours of sleep. One might think of this component as the body's dedicated nighttime supervisor. Its primary responsibility is incredibly straightforward. While the physical system enjoys deep rest, this hormone gently signals the filtering pathways to moderate their pace, significantly lowering fluid production until the morning. In earlier decades, this elegant system functions with seamless efficiency. The body naturally generates a much lower volume of fluid during the night, allowing for continuous, undisturbed rest until the sun rises. However, as the body transitions into new phases of maturity, this specific nocturnal signal can become noticeably more muted. The internal filtration pathways no longer receive the regulatory message with the crisp clarity they once possessed. Consequently, the system continues to process fluids at a daytime pace throughout the night, operating as though it cannot entirely distinguish between hours of activity and hours of rest. Studies suggest that after the age of 60, baseline levels of this essential regulatory messenger can decline independently of daily water consumption. This explains why many older adults experience nighttime awakenings, even when practicing wonderful moderation with their evening beverage intake. In other words, the underlying challenge is rarely a sign that the natural reservoir is failing or broken. Instead, it indicates that the body's internal nocturnal timing system has simply adopted a more deliberate, less efficient pace. One educational example involves a 72-year-old resident who sought a thorough evaluation, fully convinced that a major structural concern was developing within his lower circulatory pathways. He was understandably frustrated by the sudden disruption to his nightly rest. Following a comprehensive review by health professionals, his baseline physical structures were found to be completely healthy and intact. What the evaluation revealed, instead, was simply that his body's natural nighttime hormone regulation had naturally adjusted its baseline over time. Learning that his natural filtering system was not broken, but merely adapting to a new rhythm, provided an immense sense of relief. This remains an incredibly vital message for the broader community. Experiencing frequent nighttime fluid clearance is not a reflection of a personal error, nor does it imply that the physical architecture is rapidly declining. More often than not, it beautifully reflects the standard, natural, physiological adaptations that occur as a beautiful part of growing older. However, these vital chemical messengers represent only a single dimension of the story. Another meaningful transition occurs within the body's internal temporal architecture, specifically touching upon the natural sleep clock. In earlier years, the system naturally welcomes a sense of sleepiness later in the evening, and awakens thoroughly refreshed at a conventional morning hour. As time progresses, this internal clock naturally undergoes a subtle forward alignment. Many older adults find that the desire for rest arrives much earlier in the evening, resulting in a naturally early awakening in the quiet morning hours. Wellness professionals identify this pattern as a natural shift in the circadian rhythm. Simply put, it is as though the body's internal temporal clock has advanced by an hour or two when this internal alignment shifts. Maintaining a completely continuous sleep state throughout the traditional night can naturally present a greater demand on the system. This brings us to another critical variable that subtly influences nightly rest and system sensitivity. Chapter 3. The Mechanics of Advanced Reservoir Sensitivity and Behavioral Rhythms. If natural chemical messengers function as the body's nighttime gatekeepers, then the natural fluid reservoir serves as the specialized system, holding fluid until the morning. There is an incredibly important aspect of this physical architecture that frequently evades broader public awareness. Many individuals frequently experience a sudden, overwhelming urge to clear fluids, only to discover that the actual volume processed is remarkably small. This often leads to a natural sense of wonder regarding why the internal message felt so incredibly urgent, when the reservoir itself was nowhere near capacity. These physiological sensations are completely real and represent a well-documented neurological pattern within the maturing body. In many older adults, the underlying challenge is rarely centered on the literal volume of fluid being generated by the filtration pathways. Instead, the occurrence stems from the specific sensory signals that the internal reservoir transmits to the nervous system. In earlier decades, the natural reservoir typically accommodates a standard capacity of fluid before establishing a clear communication with the brain. As the physical system enters new stages of maturity, however, the nerve pathways embedded within the reservoir walls can naturally become far more responsive, rather than waiting until a true capacity is reached. These sensitive pathways begin transmitting alerts at a much earlier stage. Wellness educators frequently describe this phenomenon as a highly reactive signaling path, much like a delicate, domestic mechanism that responds to the slightest environmental shift, just as an older structure might have. A signaling system triggered by a gentle gust of wind. A maturing reservoir system can operate with a heightened level of caution. The physical capacity itself has not necessarily diminished or compromised in size. The system is simply initiating its natural communication loop, far ahead of the traditional timeline. Data indicates that a significant percentage of adults over the age of 60 navigate some degree of this enhanced nocturnal sensitivity. Observations within senior communities highlight a 75-year-old resident who regularly experienced multiple nighttime awakenings while processing minimal fluid, leading to the assumption that her physical structure had altered in size. Educational guidance clarified that the underlying architecture remained completely intact, but had simply adopted an overly cautious signaling pattern. Gaining a clear, logical understanding of these natural adjustments consistently provides an immense sense of reassurance and eliminates unnecessary concern. Alongside these natural biological adjustments, there is also a specific preventative habit that many individuals inadvertently develop over time. It is a highly common routine to make an intentional, final transition to clear fluids right before getting into bed, operating under the assumption of safety. The underlying thought is that emptying the system prematurely will successfully prevent an awakening later in the night. While this approach appears perfectly logical on the surface, maintaining this habit over an extended period can inadvertently train the system to become even more reactive. The internal fluid architecture adapts remarkably well to consistent behavioral patterns. If the reservoir is repeatedly cleared when it contains only a minimal volume, the nervous system begins to identify that reduced level as the new standard limit. Consequently, even a minor accumulation of fluid can eventually trigger a premature and powerful sensation of urgency. Allowing the natural system to fill to its standard capacity encourages the preservation of healthier, more resilient signaling pathways over time. Furthermore, an additional and highly meaningful variable that frequently escapes daily consideration is the presence of internal tension and stress. When the system carries unresolved emotional pressure or daily worries, the physical body naturally maintains a baseline state of heightened alertness. The specialized muscle groups surrounding the natural fluid reservoir are deeply affected by this systemic tension. A tense reservoir framework naturally becomes far more reactive, causing even minor fluid levels to present a noticeable sense of physical discomfort. Community case studies highlight a 68-year-old individual who experienced frequent nighttime awakenings while navigating significant lifestyle transitions. and financial worries. By dedicating focused attention to calming the nervous system and establishing peaceful evening routines, the nighttime disruptions naturally minimized over time. This remarkable shift occurred without any direct intervention to the physical filtration structures themselves, focusing instead on relaxing the mind. When these independent physiological elements are viewed together, the broader systemic picture becomes beautifully clear. The natural reduction in nighttime regulatory hormones combines with heightened reservoir sensitivity and systemic tension to present a greater demand on continuous rest. Recognizing these patterns is incredibly vital, as frequent nighttime disruptions extend far beyond a simple daily inconvenience. Interrupted rest places a continuous, cumulative demand on the entire physical system over an extended period. This opens a vital pathway to exploring how persistent nightly interruptions interact with broader systemic wellness and long-term physical vitality. Chapter 4. The cumulative impact of interrupted rest on systemic vitality. Waking multiple times during the night to clear fluids may appear on the surface to be nothing more than a minor daily inconvenience. It is easy to assume that the only outcome of a restless evening is a subtle sense of fatigue the following day. However, longitudinal observations indicate that consistent, continuous sleep serves as a foundational pillar for the entire physical system. Over time, repeated interruptions to the sleep cycle can subtly interact with several vital dimensions of wellness, including cardiovascular health, cognitive clarity, immune resilience, emotional balance, and physical stability. Regarding the cardiovascular system, deep sleep represents the primary window, wherein the body's natural filtering and pumping networks reduce their baseline workload. Blood pressure naturally aligns to a lower, restful state during these hours, allowing the entire circulatory matrix to restore its energy for the coming day. When sleep is frequently broken, the physical system is repeatedly drawn back into a state of heightened alertness. Studies suggest that individuals navigating consistent nighttime awakenings may experience a notable demand on long-term cardiovascular equilibrium, particularly during the early morning hours, when the system naturally transitions back to activity. Similarly, deep sleep serves as the essential window for the body's natural neurological maintenance. During uninterrupted rest, the brain utilizes a specialized clearance system to remove the natural, metabolic byproducts that accumulate throughout waking hours. If this delicate nocturnal cycle undergoes frequent interruptions, the natural filtration process within the neural pathways can become less efficient. Long-term wellness data consistently links continuous, uninterrupted sleep with the preservation of strong memory, retention, and overall cognitive clarity during later maturity. Beyond neurological health, the body's natural defense networks rely heavily on steady overnight recovery. Immune cells require these quiet hours to replenish their baseline strength and maintain optimal cellular resilience. Research indicates that individuals who experience highly fragmented rest can become more vulnerable to seasonal environmental challenges. Undisturbed sleep remains one of the most powerful built-in mechanisms for nurturing the body's natural defenses. Furthermore, an area that frequently escapes daily notice is the deep connection between continuous sleep and emotional equilibrium. Steady rest directly supports the balanced synthesis of the natural chemical elements responsible for regulating mood and daily motivation. Experiencing an early morning feeling of exhaustion or a temporary dip in vitality is often not a reflection of personal drive. More frequently, it is a direct physiological signal from the system, indicating that the overnight rest was simply not restorative. Finally, one of the most practical and vital considerations for the broader senior community centers on maintaining physical stability. Navigating domestic spaces multiple times during the dark, quiet hours of the night naturally presents a heightened demand on balance and spatial orientation. Even minor missteps during these nighttime transitions can introduce significant disruptions to personal independence and physical well-being. Preserving steady, continuous sleep is therefore intimately connected to protecting long-term mobility and nurturing daily confidence. The collective evidence demonstrates that frequent nighttime fluid clearance is an important systemic indicator, closely tied to overall quality of life. The encouraging dimension of this reality is that the cycle can frequently be guided back into a harmonious rhythm through gentle lifestyle refinements. Achieving a more continuous rest rarely requires complex clinical interventions or invasive measures. Instead, the journey toward renewed vitality begins by gently realigning a few common, easily misunderstood evening habits. This opens a vital path toward exploring sustainable options and gentle daily practices designed to encourage a profoundly peaceful, uninterrupted rest. Chapter 5. Aligning late-day habits. Dispelling widespread misconceptions about nightly rest. Before exploring the gentle practices that actively support continuous rest, it remains equally meaningful to examine the daily behaviors that can inadvertently disrupt the body's internal timing. Clinical observations across several decades indicate that many older adults implement well-intentioned lifestyle adjustments that unexpectedly create additional demands on their physical systems. One widespread misconception centers on the total avoidance of water following the evening meal. It is an incredibly common adjustment made out of concern for nighttime awakenings, yet restricting fluids too drastically can cause the remaining fluid to become overly concentrated. This heightened concentration can naturally irritate the delicate inner lining of the natural fluid reservoir, triggering premature signaling to the neural pathways. A more balanced approach suggests enjoying a modest glass of pure water alongside dinner, while gently tapering overall fluid volume during the final 2 hours before retiring for the evening. Another common habit that frequently escapes close scrutiny involves late-day beverage selections. It is frequently observed within community spaces that individuals feel perfectly secure as long as they bypass traditional coffee or black tea in the evening. However, welcoming an evening glass of wine or a relaxing cocktail can subtly interact with the body's natural nocturnal chemical messengers. While fermented options may accelerate the initial transition into sleep, they naturally encourage increased fluid production overnight, leading to fragmented rest during the early morning hours. A third, and perhaps most meaningful, barrier to progress is the passive assumption that frequent nighttime disruptions are simply a permanent tax on aging that cannot be influenced. Longitudinal tracking demonstrates that the mature physical system remains remarkably responsive to conscious lifestyle adjustments. Modest, sustainable refinements to evening behavior consistently foster a beautiful and profound difference in sleep quality. This perspective restores a profound sense of confidence, reminding the community that growing older does not imply a loss of influence over personal vitality. Furthermore, a fourth misconception involves the practice of intentionally retaining fluid for extended periods during the day, operating under the belief that it strengthens the system. The physical architecture of the natural reservoir possesses a high degree of natural elasticity, but forcing it to overextend can gradually compromise its baseline flexibility. Maintaining a comfortable and natural rhythm of clearing fluids every 3 to 4 hours during the daytime encourages a far healthier signaling pattern for the evening. Similarly, a fifth common pattern is the immediate reliance on clinical treatments or pharmaceutical alternatives at the first sign of disrupted rest. While specialized clinical interventions hold a highly respected place when medically necessary, evaluating everyday behaviors remains a powerful foundational step. The human system possesses a remarkable, built-in capacity to adapt beautifully when supported by harmonious daily rhythms. A sixth behavioral pattern that wellness professionals frequently observe is the tendency to remain tightly bound to the bed when sleep remains elusive. Lying awake for extended periods while navigating feelings of frustration can inadvertently train the neural pathways to associate the sleep space with tension rather than deep rest. If sleep does not arrive naturally after a modest interval, gently transitioning to a quiet area to read a few pages under soft lighting or listening to calming melodies is highly beneficial. Returning to the sleep environment only when the system signals true readiness helps preserve the bed as a sanctuary dedicated exclusively to peace. Finally, a seventh misconception is the practice of attempting to balance Fragmented weekday rest by sleeping significantly later during the weekend hours. The body's internal circadian clock thrives on profound chronological consistency. Altering the morning awakening time by several hours can inadvertently disrupt the body's internal synchronization, much like moving the gears of a precision watch. Establishing a steady, reliable schedule for both rest and awakening supports the highest quality of long-term systemic rejuvenation. Recognizing which of these patterns interact with daily life represents a magnificent step forward in reclaiming continuous rest. Once the underlying behavioral catalysts are clearly understood, the pathway toward a sustainable solution becomes beautifully clear. The human system inherently possesses a magnificent, built-in resting state, designed to foster deep relaxation and natural overnight recovery. This opens a vital pathway toward exploring how to gently support that internal transition and help the body rediscover the profound rest it was beautifully designed to enjoy. Chapter 6: Nurturing the Evening Transition, Traditional Elements and Calming Routines for Restful Sleep. This highlights an internal transition, frequently described as the body's hidden, natural braking system, operating the physical system at a high pace throughout the day, without intentional pauses, can gradually leave the internal architecture overworked and depleted of baseline energy. During the active daytime hours, the system naturally requires vitality and alertness. Conversely, as darkness arrives, the body seeks a quiet opportunity to slow its rhythm, recover, and engage in overnight restoration. The human system relies on two beautifully balanced internal networks to regulate this daily cycle. One network actively supports daytime movement and focus, while its companion pathway gently prepares the body to welcome deep, continuous rest. In earlier decades, this transition unfolds with seamless, natural ease. As the evening naturally guides the physical system into a restorative state. As the body matures, however, this internal switch does not always operate with the same fluid synchronization. Many individuals find that even while resting in a peaceful environment, the mind and body continue to maintain a daytime baseline of alertness. When the physical framework carries this residual tension into the evening, sleep naturally becomes lighter and more susceptible to sudden interruptions. Observations within wellness circles indicate that navigating anxieties surrounding sleep can inadvertently reinforce a state of heightened internal vigilance. This cognitive focus on remaining awake can create an unintended cycle, making the natural transition to rest even more challenging for the system to achieve. An additional and highly vital piece of this nocturnal puzzle centers on the body's natural synthesis of melatonin. As evening shadows lengthen, this specialized chemical messenger delivers a clear signal to the neural pathways that it is time to wind down. Longitudinal data suggests that the natural production of this vital sleep messenger gradually moderates over time, as a standard part of maturity. Furthermore, extended late-day exposure to highly concentrated artificial light from modern screens and bright domestic fixtures can confuse the neural pathways with conflicting chronological messages. For this reason, establishing small, unhurried evening rituals carries an immense degree of quiet power. The ultimate objective is never to force the system into a state of rest, but rather to gently signal to the body that its environment is entirely secure and receptive to relaxation. This supportive philosophy encourages a gradual easing off the daytime accelerator, allowing the system to naturally rediscover its intrinsic, peaceful rhythms. Numerous gentle, traditional kitchen elements can serve as wonderful allies in welcoming this evening transition. While these options are not designed as singular solutions or replacements for professional clinical guidance, they offer exceptional support in cultivating a harmonious environment for sleep. One traditional approach involves introducing a single, modest teaspoon of pure natural honey before retiring for the evening. This small adjustment can help sustain a steady, quiet baseline of energy throughout the night, provided that individuals navigating glucose regulation concerns consistently consult their clinical specialist first. Another supportive element is the inclusion of a fresh banana during the later hours of the day. Bananas naturally deliver essential potassium and magnesium, vital nutrients that beautifully support normal muscle relaxation and soothe the physical framework. Similarly, a modest handful of raw almonds or walnuts can serve as a deeply satisfying, mindful evening accent. These traditional nuts provide rich sources of natural magnesium and beneficial fats that support structural well-being when enjoyed with gentle moderation. For those who appreciate warm infusions, a comforting cup of traditional jujube tea represents a deeply time-honored evening ritual. This naturally caffeine-free botanical infusion offers a profoundly soothing aromatic profile, signaling beautifully to the system that the hour for rest has arrived. Finally, one of the most accessible and comforting physical practices involves a dedicated warm foot soak before turning in for the evening. Immersing the lower limbs in comfortably warm water for approximately 15 to 20 minutes gently relieves cumulative muscular tension from the day. The ultimate wisdom lies not in searching for a singular miracle intervention, but rather in nurturing simple, steady habits that help the maturing system recognize the natural boundary of the day. Supporting these gentle boundaries allows the body to seamlessly transition into a deep, restorative overnight recovery. This opens a vital path toward exploring highly practical, immediate steps designed to further enhance the quality of nightly rest and support long-term fluid equilibrium. Chapter 7: Structural Implementation of Evening Rituals and the Core Mechanics of Deep Rest. Integrating targeted, supportive evening behaviors serves as a beautiful foundation for encouraging an environment receptive to uninterrupted nocturnal recovery. Cumulative evidence demonstrates that selected evening practices provide exceptional comfort, provided they are approached with a focus on simplicity rather than overcomplication. Rather than attempting to incorporate every available method, simultaneously identifying one or two distinct habits that align seamlessly with existing daily rhythms yields the most sustainable outcomes. The initial practice involves the precise introduction of a single, modest teaspoon of pure natural honey prior to retiring for the evening. Throughout the overnight hours, physical systems continue to utilize a steady baseline of metabolic energy to maintain standard cellular functions. For many individuals, this minimal intake provides a quiet source of overnight nourishment, helping to prevent subtle, hunger-induced awakenings from interrupting the sleep cycle. Furthermore, pure honey contains specific, naturally occurring organic compounds, including minor trace levels of tryptophan. This essential amino acid acts as a foundational building block within the system, supporting the natural synthesis of serotonin and melatonin. Observations reveal that integrating this single element into the evening routine consistently reinforces a deeply relaxing ritual, allowing the system to transition into rest with fewer disruptions. Naturally, for individuals navigating glucose regulation concerns, consulting a clinical specialist prior to modifying late-day dietary routines remains a vital prerequisite. A secondary option relies on the targeted inclusion of a modest portion, specifically half of a medium-sized fresh banana, during the evening wind-down period. Bananas are exceptionally rich in natural magnesium and potassium, vital minerals that actively sustain normal muscular and neurological relaxation across the physical framework. This small, measured quantity delivers an ideal balance of nutrients, without introducing an unnecessary digestive load to the system right before rest. In a similar manner, a highly respected dietary accent involves incorporating a small, controlled serving of raw walnuts or almonds. These select options deliver beneficial, monounsaturated fats and essential minerals that beautifully support long-term systemic wellness. A precise handful, such as 2 walnut halves or a few individual almonds, provides optimal nourishment while keeping the digestive tract completely comfortable. Remarkably, walnuts serve as a rare, botanical source of naturally occurring melatonin, directly reinforcing the neural pathways responsible for managing the sleep-wake cycle. For those drawn to traditional botanical infusions, enjoying a precise half-cup of warm jujube tea offers an exceptional evening ritual. This time-honored, naturally caffeine-free infusion has been utilized across generations to deliver a profound sense of physical and mental tranquility, to maintain perfect overnight fluid equilibrium and protect against unnecessary nighttime awakenings. Limiting the volume to a modest half cup is highly recommended. When traditional wisdom aligns seamlessly with modern physiological science, the resulting daily habits provide exceptional structural support for the maturing body. Beyond dietary elements, one of the most profoundly effective physical practices centers on a dedicated, warm lower limb immersion. Immersing the feet in comfortably warm water for exactly 15 minutes prior to rest delivers an immediate soothing effect to the entire nervous system. The water temperature should maintain a gentle, welcoming warmth, rather than an excessively high heat baseline. As the vascular pathways within the lower extremities naturally expand and relax, the body begins a beautiful process of radiating excess heat outward. This physical transition causes the internal core temperature to experience a subtle, measured decline, which acts as a powerful biological signal preparing the system for deep sleep. Identifying which of these specific elements aligns most harmoniously with daily routines allows for a completely personalized approach to evening relaxation. Incorporating these practices requires a fundamental principle: maintaining an unhurried focus on quality and consistency, rather than sheer volume. Attempting to force multiple routines into a single evening can inadvertently transform the hours preceding rest into an additional source of daily tension. Emphasizing steady consistency with a singular, well-chosen habit allows the system to harvest the maximum physiological benefit from the overnight transition. Establishing these foundational, natural anchors prepares the physical framework to embrace the overarching structural rules of nocturnal wellness. This opens a vital path toward exploring the golden parameters of evening behavior, designed to maximize the efficacy of these routines starting tonight. Chapter 8: Chronological Parameters and Supporting Rhythms for Continuous Rest. This brings us to the comprehensive integration of late-day parameters and daytime behaviors designed to support the body's natural nocturnal equilibrium, while evaluating gentle botanical and dietary accents is highly beneficial. Understanding the precise implementation and structural organization of the daily schedule remains equally essential. Longitudinal tracking within senior wellness communities highlights 12 consistent behaviors that exceptionally support long-term systemic harmony. These practical refinements can be seamlessly introduced to the evening schedule without presenting an unnecessary demand on the daily routine. First, appropriate scheduling represents a critical variable for maximum efficacy. When incorporating a supportive evening accent such as a single teaspoon of honey, a few almonds, or a modest portion of a fresh banana, scheduling this intake approximately 30 to 40 minutes prior to bed is ideal. Initiating this pattern too early may cause the relaxing attributes to dissipate before the system transitions into sleep, while a delayed intake does not afford the physical framework sufficient time to respond. This targeted window allows the internal pathways to transition smoothly into a peaceful nocturnal state. Next, maintaining modest portions remains a foundational rule for digestive comfort. Restricting the intake to a single teaspoon of honey, half of a banana, or approximately 7 raw almonds delivers the optimal signaling threshold. Elevated quantities inadvertently force the digestive tract to reactivate, which directly compromises the quality of deep, restorative rest. The overarching objective is simply to offer the system a gentle, calming signal, rather than introducing a dense meal. Third, avoiding additional fluid intake alongside these late-day accents is highly beneficial. While it is a natural inclination to reach for a glass of pure water, introducing excessive fluids close to bedtime can stimulate the filtration and reservoir pathways. Consuming these modest foods, slowly and intentionally without additional beverages, protects against unnecessary overnight disruptions. Fourth, cultivating steady patience remains essential. As the physical framework adapts to these new behavioral rhythms, observing a profound transformation after a single evening is rarely the standard progression, as the maturing system requires time to align with updated routines. Commitment to these practices for a minimum of 2 weeks allows for a true evaluation of the systemic benefits. Fifth, maintaining a simple, unhurried log of nightly patterns can offer wonderful cognitive support. Briefly noting the frequency of nighttime awakenings provides clear visibility into gradual progress, reinforcing long-term motivation. Sixth, welcoming natural morning sunlight right after waking plays a magnificent role in resetting the internal circadian clock, allowing bright, natural light to reach the eyes early in the day. Reinforces the neural pathway's ability to distinguish clearly between hours of activity and hours of rest, spending 15 to 30 minutes outdoors or resting near a well-lit domestic window encourages exceptional chronological synchronization. Seventh, shifting the primary water intake to the earlier hours of the day ensures optimal systemic hydration, while staying beautifully hydrated during the morning and afternoon is encouraged. Gradually tapering fluid volume as evening approaches allows the filtration system to settle comfortably. Eighth, evaluating specific sleeping alignments can introduce a wonderful degree of physical relief. Many individuals discover that resting on the left side, while placing a supportive cushion between the knees, minimizes direct pressure on the lower reservoir pathways. Ninth, reinforcing the specialized pelvic muscle structures through targeted contractions exceptionally enhances natural reservoir control. Engaging in a brief 5-second contraction of the supportive lower muscles, followed by a 5-second period of complete relaxation, creates a highly resilient pattern. Repeating this simple sequence 10 times across 3 brief intervals each day supports excellent baseline control. Community observations highlight a 74-year-old resident who maintained these targeted exercises consistently for 2 months, successfully minimizing her nighttime awakenings by nearly half. 10th, enjoying a peaceful evening walk of 20 to 30 minutes following dinner offers exceptional support. A gentle, unhurried stroll around the neighborhood creates a healthy baseline of physical readiness for sleep, while calming residual cognitive tension. Completing this movement at least 2 hours before retiring ensures the physical framework has ample time to wind down completely. 11th, cultivating a sleep-friendly sanctuary within the bedroom involves optimizing temperature and light boundaries, softening domestic lights and bypassing artificial blue light from screens. An hour before rest protects natural melatonin production, maintaining a cool, quiet sleeping environment, ideally between 65 and 68 degrees Fahrenheit, is widely recognized as optimal for continuous rejuvenation. Finally, from a clinical perspective, recognizing the appropriate parameters for professional specialist consultation remains paramount. Individuals navigating glucose regulation concerns should naturally prioritize options such as raw almonds over honey, always coordinating lifestyle adjustments with a qualified professional. Furthermore, encountering sudden indicators such as significant localized discomfort, elevated temperature, or structural irregularities requires immediate clinical evaluation, rather than assuming they represent standard aging. Similarly, navigating established challenges, such as lower circulatory transitions or localized structural definitions, requires close coordination with a primary care professional. Ultimately, these core habits demonstrate that simple adjustments, including a small bedtime snack, consistent schedules, morning light, gentle movement, and patience, build a magnificent foundation for wellness. Longitudinal accounts involve a 73-year-old individual who approached these habits with initial reservation, only to share weeks later that even a single continuous rest completely renewed his morning vitality. This beautifully demonstrates that small, respectful changes repeated day after day consistently lead to the most profound improvements in long-term independence. Conclusion: nurturing long-term vitality through sustainable daily rhythms, reflecting on these collective insights, allows for a beautifully clear perspective on integrating advanced nocturnal practices into a balanced lifestyle. In summary, a balanced and mindful dietary and behavioral routine thoughtfully recognizes that frequent nighttime waking is not an inevitable, permanent tax on a maturing system. This supportive pattern gracefully addresses the natural shift in nighttime regulatory hormones that alters fluid production, while understanding that heightened reservoir sensitivity frequently initiates premature alerts to the neural pathways. Furthermore, committing to correcting counterproductive habits such as total evening fluid restrictions, late-day alcohol intake, passive acceptance, or immediate pharmaceutical reliance remains a cornerstone of success. Instead, this proactive approach beautifully brings together gentle bedtime anchors, including the steady metabolism supported by a teaspoon of honey, the mineral relaxation of half a banana, and the rich nutrients of select raw nuts. These dietary elements combine harmoniously with the aromatic comfort of warm jujube tea and the vascular circulation, encouraged by a restorative evening foot soak, provided any glucose regulation concerns are consistently evaluated by a clinical specialist. Ultimately, nurturing daytime behaviors such as welcoming morning sunlight to reset the internal clock, shifting hydration to earlier hours, enjoying an unhurried evening walk, and strengthening pelvic muscle structures builds the true foundation for lasting wellness. Exploring these collective insights until the conclusion provides a profound understanding of the inner rhythms of the maturing body and, more importantly, the gentle measures available to support it. Clinical observations across several decades consistently demonstrate that the physical framework remains remarkably responsive to steady, consistent habits. Modest, sustainable lifestyle refinements may not transform systemic patterns overnight, but their beautiful accumulation over time fosters a profound difference in long-term vitality. The ultimate objective is that a singular, gentle habit initiated today becomes the foundational catalyst for deeper sleep, enhanced physical energy, and vibrant daytime independence. Preserving this daily strength represents a magnificent foundation for fully enjoying life's most genuine blessings alongside cherished family and friends. Whether navigating a peaceful morning walk with grandchildren, sharing a meaningful meal with loved ones, or awakening thoroughly refreshed for the day ahead, true wellness supports these beautiful moments. Supporting this educational space by engaging with the content helps ensure that evidence-based information focused on longevity and graceful aging continues to reach communities worldwide. Sharing a personal reflection in the space below regarding a small, positive habit intended for the coming week beautifully encourages neighbors navigating their own journeys toward vitality, taking complete care of the body, maintaining chronological consistency, and embracing a peaceful heart remain the ultimate expressions of daily wellness. This beautifully reminds us that the journey toward enduring wellness, continuous rest, and long-term vitality often begins with a single, respectful choice at the daily table.